What up, peeps? How y'all doing tonight? I'm just catching a moment with my evening cup of coffee in the Carbo After Dark series. I want to pose a question for a moment. Don't I always? The question of the night, I guess, is are we better off being delusional? Let me try to rephrase this in a way that makes sense. Are we okay in having delusions so long as they harm no one? Or are we better off facing facts in the way that we see them to be true as the general consensus? God, that sounds horrible. Let me try this again. Do we believe what science tells us, or do we believe what our heart tells us? If I wanted to put it really simply to try to get the root out. Coffee is delicious. Do we want to believe what the general consensus of society says as far as the actual things that we can see, feel, touch, and hear? Is that enough for people? Or are we okay to believe in delusions? This was inspired by a comment somebody left to a sub earlier. It was on the video about, is God a schizo? And the person left a comment to one of my subs who he left a comment about his past life, and then the guy commented to him and said, "You're delusional," basically. And so it was one of those times where I don't know if the guy's for real or not. I don't know the story. The point is that a guy came and confronted another person and told them they were delusional without knowing that person or knowing any intimate details about the person. And it came down to the fact that the person was an atheist, and they believed that, there was no God, there was no creation, we were just here. And my thought about that was fine. If that's what you believe, that's fine. But why does it seem like so many people like that are so quick to judge others and be harsh and abrasive and point the finger? And my only thought after seeing this over and over is that the people are uncomfortable with not believing in anything. Now, a lot of people might hear that and say, bullshit, I'm an atheist and I'm happy and I don't have to believe in anything to be happy, and I can totally respect and understand that. But a lot of atheists cannot, because it seems like people are bothered by this idea in the back of their mind that there's something greater that they can't explain. So therefore, if we can't explain it, then it's either A or B. Like one guy put it, he said he used the Occam's razor philosophy by saying either a sentient being created the universe and everything in it, or he didn't. And that was pretty much summed up the argument there. It's a black and white thinking that either a God created the universe or the universe was just here. My thought is that maybe the universe is creating itself, and that is what God is. Or perhaps God is living through people. Maybe people became God. Maybe it wasn't even people. Maybe people are just a branch of this universal God mind that involves many races. The point being that we don't know. And we can't know. Because any amount of empirical evidence that's given to people, there's always people that are going to deny it. There are still Holocaust deniers. There always will be. Just as well, there are always going to be religious and non-religious. There are going to be people who will not believe something right in front of their face, and that's fine. That's fine. The question is it okay to bash other people for what they believe? And I guess the answer to that would be only if their beliefs interfere with yours, or if a person's confronting you and you're defending yourself. But I think so long as a person's delusions don't harm their values or their integrity, then so be it. This is the melding of society. This is what it is. It is what it is. Many different people thinking many different things. So what we have to do is, instead of pointing the finger at particular beliefs, ask ourselves, is it harming us that they believe this? And in some instances it is, such as religious extremism. But generally, people who believe in reincarnation or past lives are not harmful. They're not hurting anyone to believe that. And confronting a person with belligerence or, hostility or arrogance only serves to detract from any point you might want to make. So I've just noticed that the different ways that people confront each other leads me to believe that the people who do believe in something greater than themselves are, in general, better conversationalists and happier people than those who don't. And this has just been my experience with the people I've talked to. And I'm not generalizing or saying that atheists are one way and religious are another. But it seems that people who believe in a higher calling or a higher being or an intelligence or anything thereof seem to have a much calmer demeanor about the way they handle themselves in conversation. The materialist will always strive to try to prove himself, but will always fall on deaf ears from those who have sensed something greater. And I'm a person who may be delusional, but I believe in something greater than myself. You can call it God, you can call it universal consciousness, you can call it Gaia, you can call it whatever you want. To me, it means I'm part of something greater. It's that simple. I'm part of a greater picture. Reincarnation may or may not be true. If so, all souls may be reincarnated, but will eventually dissipate back into the one, meaning that individuality is really meaningless in the long run. And once a person comes to that conclusion, they can accept that there may be something greater that doesn't involve a heaven or a material heaven or God or devil. In fact, I did a little research into the word devil. It's actually, the etymology was from diabolos from the Greek, which meant to throw across the path of someone, or to try to throw something across the path of someone who's traveling or trying to get to some state or being. It could be a metaphor, however you want to take it. And Satan is actually from STN, was the original meaning, which was an adversary. And I always think about these things, when something gets in our way, we blame one of these beings or one of these entities or these energies. But in reality, it's most of the time an energy we've created through our own society by being ignorant. What is it, like ignorance and oppression and greed? They're all bred by, and fear. It's ignorance and fear are the two big causes of distress in this world. And I think once we get past that, people can move past the ignorance of dogma and into something greater without feeling like they can't be themselves. Anyway, peace and love to everybody, and have a great night.